So I'm going to look at installing this CT2950 Creative Labs sound card on the machine with DOS drivers. This should be pretty useful for gaming. Again, the internet is your friend. On the internet, I found a number of floppy images. For the 2950, we've got setup disk 1, 2, 3, and 4, and there was a CT2950 plug and play disk as well. I'm assuming it requires plug and play to get this card to work correctly in the machine. We'll find out. So I'm going to go ahead and install this card in an ISA slot, and we'll see what happens. So the CT2950 sound card has been installed in this bottom ISA slot. The securing screw is in to keep the card nice and secure. Let's go ahead and power the machine on and take a look at what it takes to actually install this. Actually, before I install the CD-ROM or the sound card driver, I'm going to go ahead and install this mouse driver. Again, it's another image I found on the internet. I believe this image will work with a serial mouse. Let's see what's on the floppy. So, looks like I've got Cute Mouse on here, and I've got Mouse 901. Oops. I'm going to copy the files from the A floppy. I need to hit insert. I want to copy. Quick little demo there of why the DOS key is useful. This little PS2 mini keyboard I've got here doesn't work really well. I'm not, it's good enough for what I'm doing here, but I'd prefer a full-size keyboard. And I'm going to go ahead and run OUSE 901. Yes, let's unzip the file. I think we just unzipped a ton of files into this folder. We sure did. It was a setup. I saw it unzip. So this looks like it's the Microsoft mouse driver. I happen to have a Microsoft Home serial mouse here. It's a ball mouse that we'll be using. So I'll continue. So it's already been installed. No, it hasn't. We're going to do an MS-DOS only install. Load mouse driver automatically at power up. Let's see what Mouse Manager is. Acceleration, all those kinds of good things. And just by moving the mouse here, we can see I actually have mouse control on the machine. So let's go ahead and restart the machine. I'll pull that floppy out. Don't think I'm going to need the mouse driver for what we're about to do, but we'll find out. Make sure we have a mouse driver loaded. I can go into edit, you can see the mouse moving around. So we know the mouse driver is working. I'm going to start with the CT2950 plug and play floppy. I believe that's required to actually configure the sound card. In this case, I'm not going to copy those to the hard drive, but I will run these directly from the floppy. Well, there's actually IDE drivers on here as well. It looks like for the IDE interface on the Sound Blaster card. Let's see, to install configuration manager now, press enter. Yep, we'll use the defaults. Eventually I want to find some DIMMs so I can increase the memory on this. 20 megs, probably more than plenty, but you know, to a point, more memory is better. A few of the DOS games I want to play with in the future rely on the blaster string to be set in the environment in order to know how to talk to the blaster card. And I'm pretty sure the plug and play manager here takes care of strapping that card to the correct entries. This is going to auto edit my AutoExec BAT and my config sys. We'll let it go ahead and do that. It's adding lines to them. So it's going to run CTCM to prepare the card for first time use. And it's modified config sys, so we watched it do all this. I think I pulled the floppy out too quick. Oh, I just bumped the power switch. Hopefully everything was installed and there was nothing else to do there. With the case off the machine, the power switch is right down here next to the eject button on the floppy, and I most certainly managed to bump it there with my knuckle. So that could have probably been far worse had I been in the middle of the install, although I think just removing the files would have been sufficient. It didn't actually run the CTCM manager for me, although there it is there. It found a Creative SB16 plug and play. Yeah, I think we missed part of the setup here. Let's go ahead and manually run it. We may have to back off and do this again. So I did see that it was going to try to run CTCM, I believe, to do the initial configuration. Blaster environment is set at. CTCU. I always like to take the hard path for everything. Menu. Plug and play cards. List of devices. Resources for the audio card. I'm not going to change any of that. Should have. So there's the blaster string there at the bottom of the list. A220, interrupt 5, DMA1, high speed DMA was 5, etc., etc. So we do have a blaster string set, if I remember right. CTCM is being run here in the auto execs. Let's go ahead and restart one more time. now questioning whether I need these drivers. If I type set again to see the environmental variables, we can see that we didn't get the blaster string. Interesting. This is not working the way I think it should be. Let's go into CTCM, see if we can figure this out. And just running it standalone configured the environment. So why? It set the path, it ran CTCU, CTCM slash CTCU. Would help if I typed that right. So we've already looked at this. Let's run CTCM from there. Looks to me like CTCM needs to be ran. Oh, it is being run in the config.sys. So why aren't I getting the blaster string? Set up automatically. Well, I'm going to rerun the I'm going to back this out. CD CTCM. Hopefully I'm not going to screw things up here. Let's go ahead and remove that folder. I'm going to manually remove the lines in here that it added. Actually going to change my temp folder while I'm in here to temp rather than DOS. Save file, exit. While I'm here, I need to make a folder for temp to sit in. I'm going to edit config.sys. And I'm going to remove this line as well that was added in here. And I believe this should have us back to the before the Sound Blaster card config. It would help if, oh, I do have it in. So install, and we'll run the installation completely from scratch and try to not bump the power switch this time. Configuration Manager, let's go ahead and try the install again. Oops, sorry about bumping the camera. There's actually a couple of readmes. Just going to add those lines back. It's going to run CTCM to prepare the card. Exit the DOS, press enter. To reboot, press F10. So we just really ended up in the same place we were before. Actually wants us to reboot. And I'll just move on to the 2950 DOS drivers. Once we get booted here. While I'm thinking about it, this is the folder where all the mouse installers got copied to and unpacked. I'm just going to clear this folder out. So let's go to the A floppy. See what's on here. There's an install. I am going to have to find a pair of PC speakers for this, and I'm not sure if I have any. I'll have to go dig. We're going to do a full install. Let's see what all we get. So it's going to create an SB16 folder. Yep, those look like the normal defaults. Maybe this is the piece here that actually creates that blaster string in the auto exec. If you've only ever dealt with newer machines and with build and plug and play and all that stuff, this may seem a bit confusing. This is old school. This is how it used to be. Things have certainly got much easier. At the same time, on these older machines, understanding this stuff kind of down at this level can help. So the system's asked me to move on to what I believe is disk 4. I'll get that in. And we'll see what it does. Watching the installer run here, it has copied files to a Windows folder, it looks like, as well. So I believe this is bringing in both Windows files and DOS files. As you may see there now, in the background, I actually found a pair of Dell computer speakers. They will be more than sufficient for what I'm going to do here to test this. So we'll just let this keep installing. So at this point it's finished with floppy 4, and it's telling us that it's going to modify the AutoExec bat, and that's where the blaster string is going to get set. Again, that blaster environmental variable is how a lot of applications, games, etc. know how to talk to the audio card. There's a diagnostic and a mixer set program, and it's going to bump files up to 40 in the config sys. So I'm going to pull that floppy 4 out. Go ahead and hit enter, and it's adding the various lines. And to reboot, press F10. Now I don't know which jack on the sound card is the actual audio out. There's 4 plugs on it. It could be it, so I'm going to go ahead and see if I can, say, run that diagnose program and get it to produce some sound output so I can try various jacks. And there went the blaster string by. If I do a set, we should see blaster equals, and we do. If we see SB16, 6 key is one of the keys on this keyboard that doesn't like to work. And there's a diagnose. And enter to continue. Default. 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 That's default. So I must be in the right jack. You probably couldn't hear that, but it did actually play. Let me do that again.
8-bit testing. 8-bit testing.
So we've tested 8-bit sound. Let's go ahead and test 16-bit sound.
16-bit testing. 16-bit testing. 16-bit testing. 16-bit testing.
So left and right are correct. And hit a little synthesized music. So it looks like we've successfully installed the Sound Blaster 16. I really don't want to update the files, or the AutoExec, etc. They were fine the way they were. So there it is. We've gotten the Sound Blaster 16 card installed, the plug and play drivers installed, and SB16 utility software. So moving ahead.